Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. Good day to everyone. It's really exciting to have you all here. I can see some of our speakers already here, our conveners and participants from all over the world. You're welcome. You're welcome. That's a very nice smile, Maraki. Yes, thank you very much. And nice to see you again, Mr. James Fraser. It's been a while. Yes, you're welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Ota Ahigbe. Nice to see you. The beautiful smiles. Mr. JP is here too. You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
I'd like everyone to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening in their language for the next, say, 1 minute. We just want to hear all languages from all over the world saying good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.
Habari ya jioni. Habari.
Ngiriwe.
Ndewo, ndewo.
Amazing. I can hear some languages from West Africa, from East Africa, from Ethiopia.
Wonderful languages. Thank you all.
I didn't hear anything from Canada.
Is there anyone from the Wakanda Kingdom? Say good morning in your language.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, Wakanda forever. Is there anyone from Nigeria? Say good morning or good evening or good afternoon in your dialect, because we have different dialects in Nigeria. So I'll go first in Igbo, Ndewo.
Ekaro.
Yeah, I can hear my Yoruba people there. Ekaro. You're all welcome.
I can hear some Luganda.
Can we hear some French?
Bonjour, bonjour. Vous allez bien?
Bonjour. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Vous-même?
Ça va bien de toi?
Tout va
Oui,
bien.
ça va.
All right. Mr. JP, are we good to start? Are we still waiting
Yes,
for
we are
some other
good to
people?
start.
All
I
right.
think we have a critical mass here, and mindful of time, would be good to get started. I can see online some of our distinguished speakers who have already approved or accepted the invitation. So, hi, Fedra, I can see you here. We were on the call the other day. Hi, Corinne. Nice to see you here. Hi, Professor Jude. Nice to see you here. So, yeah, moderator, you have a great work to let everybody introduce themselves, maybe in the chat box.
Yes.
But I can see you
Yeah.
have a very, very, very robust audience, and hopefully we get to hear from some of them.
All right, no problem. JP, I only asked you a question. You hijacked my job. So don't talk until I say you talk, okay? All
I'm
right.
so sorry.
Okay, so while the introductions are going on, please kindly introduce yourself in the chat box, represent your country, represent where you're from, and just say hello while we're going to the conversation, right? So good morning again, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us all across from Africa, Canada, and the global health ecosystem. My name is Dr. Kelechi Okoro. I'm also known as the Health Attainer, and it's my absolute honor to serve as your host for the Africa Health Tech Summit Canada 2026 virtual launch. This is a virtual launch. However, I want you to come to the room with us. Imagine you are in a conference room, and then just bring that energy that you will give when you're in a conference room, and we're all seeing ourselves face to face. So today is not just another event; it is the official unveiling of a platform that sits on the intersection of health, innovation, investment, policy, connecting continents and catalyzing solutions that truly matter. And today we've brought together some of the most forward-thinking minds to explore how Africa and Canada can collaborate to shape the future of healthcare. Not someday, but from now, okay? And I just want to thank you all for making out time to be here, and keep on introducing yourself in the comments. And while we're talking, if you have any questions you want to ask in the future, if you have any contributions you want to give, don't wait till the end of the session, or don't wait till we have a Q&A to drop your nuggets, your questions, or your comments in the chat box. Just make some friends in the chat box and keep it going. All right. So to set the tone of today, I'll be calling up someone who's already hijacked the mic from me before now to, to take us through to the next session. I would like to introduce the visionary behind all of this. I want to see people clapping, please. I said this has to be like a conference room. Yes, I want to see your hands clapping. Oh, good one. I want to formally introduce you to Jean Philbert, who's fondly known as JP by everyone in the impact industry. And he is a dynamic leader who's going to, for the African Health Tech Summit, ACE. It was glorious, it was insightful, lots of positive conversations, and we're preparing for the one in Canada. And I want JP to take this room now. Please keep clapping.
I'm surprised that you were
And
thinking really that
I want to hear some claps,
I'm surprised
please.
at you. Why would you think that they should go and destroy your country and then change your list? I was thinking that.
Please,
Dr.
can you
Jude, you
mute?
may want to mute.
Someone is talking about muting. You may want to mute your mic, please. All right, a round of applause for JP as he takes the mic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okoro. It's a great pleasure being here. And thanks for Dr. Jude. You may want to mute, please. Thank you. All right. So let me bring back the camera. So it's a great pleasure to be here and to take you through the vision for this summit. I've been already introduced, but part of what I would like to add on the introduction that was made by Dr. Okoro is that prior to serving as the chairman and chief curator for this summit, and even still now, I serve as the Chief Digital Advisor at the Africa Centers for Disease Control, help shape the digital transformation strategy for health on the African continent. And prior to that, I served as Minister for Information Technology and Youth in the government of Rwanda, and have a background in technology and public administration and business administration. All right, so there was a deck that I want to use. Please bring back on the deck if possible. Those who are on the technical side of the call. Otherwise, I can also share from my end. Okay, very good. All right, next. So the whole point of bringing people together, we've been doing this for the last 5 years. We are coming at the 5th anniversary of the Africa Health Tech Summit, and we hear a lot people saying, is this the talk shop? Why are you even trying to bring people together? People are busy. But I think you are here because you believe exactly in what we also believe in, which is there are things we can do individually and do them very well. But there are things that we can only do collectively. And the first step to do things together is to talk to each other. We recognize that we are facing similar challenges, but also similar opportunities across Africa and Canada, and that's why we're coming together. Across the two sides, we see a rising burden of chronic and mental health conditions. We see aging and increase in long-term care demands. Perhaps from a Canadian perspective, many people don't expect that Africa would be facing such an issue, but we are. And it's a good news because it means that people are living longer, but we are confronted with this new challenge. And we can learn a thing or two about people who have been handling this for a long time. We see climate and One Health risks on the rise. We see growing expectations for access, equity, affordability, and resilience of health systems, and especially on the African continent where we know we are outspent by everyone else. On average, for example, US spends $10,000 per person per year for treatment and care. In Africa, we spend about $100. So that's but the right and aspiration to good life is equally distributed across. So how can we face that with a better use of technology? We see rapid advances in digital platforms, AI and data infrastructure, which is great news, but we also know that technology alone cannot help transform systems. So transformation happens only when innovation is embedded into public health priorities, delivery platforms, financing models, and governance structures. That's when we can see transformation at scale. Next. All right, so why Canada, why Toronto? We've been doing this in Africa for years, and it's been a great ride so far. But why Canada? I think some of the colleagues here on this call, I see Jude, I see James, I see Dr. Markey, I see Evelyn. You've been at Kigali, the convention center where we hold the event. So we kept hearing more and more voices saying, this conversation needs to go global. Africa is not an island. And we will make much more progress if we are able to crowdsource more goodwill, more interest, more investment, more technology transfer. And we can't expect just to keep things here in Africa and hope that everybody who needs to be part of the conversation will come to us. We just as even healthcare is moving from hospital to the home, we thought that this conversation also should go around, find people where they are, make it easier for them to participate, make it easier to contribute. But now why Toronto? I think it would be preaching to the converted when we say that Canada has been such a great partner, international development partner for Africa. When we started thinking about this, it was important really to find a soft landing. We know for the first time it's going to be difficult, so you needed an ecosystem, an environment that is open and supportive. And for those who are not in Canada, this is the country that has one of the largest and most vibrant diaspora populations in the world. And then Canada and especially Toronto as a hub, is a global leader in AI and life sciences. So there is a convergence of all those conditions that made us choose Canada for the first international expansion of Africa Health Tech Summit. But make no mistake, it's the first, but not the last. We are not going to be rotating this. This is going to stay here, but we are open to, in the future years, to also bring the conversation closer to other regions, depending on the invitations and on the conditions that those regions would present, to be able to bring this to the broader audiences in those regions. But Canada, Toronto, we thought that there can't be a better landing soft spot for us than this place. Next. Now, this is a bit of the history, not a very old organization. The Africa Health Tech Summit has been there since 2022, starting in Kigali, 600 people, 200 organizations, 11 sessions, a side event to the Conference in Public Health in Africa. The following year, 2023, also a side event at the Mobile World Congress, but we still grew from 600 to 1,000. That time, for the first time, we went solo alone. It was in the middle of the Marburg outbreak in Rwanda, but we still continued while everyone else was canceling their event. We said this is the time for the public health people, the policymakers, and the technology people to come together to even talk about how we can face some of these outbreaks and the pandemic threats with more use of technology. So we proceeded, kept growing, got to 1,800 people. Last year, for those who were in Kigali, we could be able to fill the convention center, 2,500 people, 1,300 organizations. We ran 52 sessions. So really a great story of growth. Now, Toronto comes between last year and what we are expecting to host in Kigali again in September, October. We're expecting 5,000 people, more than 1,500 organizations participating. For the Toronto edition, we are aiming at bringing together 1,000 people from Africa, from Canada, from North America, representing more than 300 organizations. And I think we're already more than 20 sessions on the program. So we can have an update on that later in the conversation as we invite you online to also chime in with what you believe should be key issues to be covered. But we are on a trajectory to keep growing. I think for those who have been observing Africa over the last 10 years, you've seen what the fintech did, what technology and finance did. Extended financial inclusion to the majority of our people who were previously financially excluded. And the question and the opportunity here is, could mobile, could technology, could AI be also a solution, the key to achieve universal health coverage, achieve health inclusion objectives in the same way that fintech moved, in ways that have created a lot of opportunities, not just for saving lives, but for creating jobs and contributing to our economies. That is the hope, that is the aspiration, and that is the conviction that we are bringing to our international partners. Next. All right, so from the beginning, we believe that Africa Health Tech Summit is a co-creation journey. Every partner who comes on board, we are really interested in hearing what you see that we don't see. Invite you to contribute what you believe can help Africa and Canada, in this case, advance. We convene senior policymakers and public health leaders. We convene health system executives and regulators, innovators, entrepreneurs, and investors. We convene academia, youth leaders, people who are part of the health workforce. We are convening the African diaspora in Canada. We are convening the media, the influencers. I think we have one of the influencers is moderating this call. So thank you so much, Dr. Okoro. We convene technology. We convene the financial sector So we seek to bring together people who have something to contribute in digitalizing and improving care across the world, across Canada, and across the African continent. Next. Now, I'll move fast. I don't want to, I think I've already talked through the objectives. You can go next. Perhaps the only thing I can say about the objective, the framing, the overall objective is try to visualize Africa and Canada as two continents on the map, and then a bridge that connects the two continents. That's something that is already existing. So our role here, our job here is how can we bring our own contribution, our brick, to strengthen and widen that bridge so that capital, people, technology can move both ways. It's not one-way street. We are not building a one-way street from Canada to Africa or vice versa. We want this flow to be both ways. So that's really how I can frame it at the highest level, to strengthen health system through technology-enabled connected care, to showcase partnership models, delivering system-level transformation, accelerate scale from innovation pilots to sustainable platforms, elevate youth, women, people with disability, health workforce as system builders, position wellness, equity, and health sovereignty as measurable outcomes. While doing so, deepen Canada-Africa global collaboration. Canada just launched something called Canada-Africa strategy. So we want also to be able to contribute our brick to that big edifice. So that's where our heart is, that's where our mind is, that's where our hand is. And this is an open invitation to everyone on this call and people in your respective networks to join us on this ride. Thanks, and back to you, moderator.
Very much, JP, always the orator, always the most exciting sounding person in the room with so many visions. Thank you for this vision that you've shared and giving us all the opportunity to be a part of it. Okay, so thank you very much, and just keep the round of applause going. Drop your questions, drop your contributions, give Mr. JP his flowers, and the Dala team and the AHTS team their flowers in the conversation box. And while you're at it, just make some more friends, okay? So we're going to go ahead to the fire starters, right? I hope we don't get a real fire in here, but I'm sure that the team has fire extinguishers and firefighters around, okay? Because the next session we're going to is the fire starters. I don't know why Mr. Edward is laughing, but I hope there is no fire here. Just literal. All right. So, so I'll be welcoming two people who are going to come with some fire, right? And they are Dr. Maraki and Ota Ahibe. I don't want to introduce them myself, so I'll just give them 1 minute each to both introduce themselves as much as they want to, but 1 minute.
Hi, everyone. Should I start? Go ahead.
Yes, you can start, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Maraki Fakre. I'm the bridge. I'm between Ethiopia and Canada. I basically finished my studies here in Canada. I'm Canadian for the last 25 years, then sort of moved globally working in the region, but also Middle East. So I am a global healthcare strategist. I work in both financing health systems. I've supported advice regional conversations, and I've worked with JP for the last 6 years or so. So it's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Very nice to have you here. And the ever smiling Ota Hibe.
Thank you very much. And thank you, JP, for the kind invitation to be here. Good afternoon from here, everyone. It's really good to be here. My name is Ota Higbe, and I lead partnerships and programs at eHealth Africa. And at a very practical level, my work sits at the intersection of governments, partners, and delivery, where a lot of these ideas we're discussing either get embedded into real systems or don't quite hold. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about what it actually takes to move from promising innovation to something that can be sustained and scaled in real world settings. So I'm really glad to be a part of this conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I would like to go with Maraki first. Kindly set some fire in the room and give us your starters.
Thanks so much. So, I was really thinking about how to do this fire starting, but I would like to start with a conversation actually that's really instigated in me, a conversation with Jean Philbert. Actually, this was about 6 years ago, JP, when we met in Addis, and you were transitioning to be the chief digital advisor to the Africa CDC. And at that moment, similarly, I was transitioning to develop a regional pool procurement around essential commodities, as well as thinking how we can finance infrastructure, be it digital, but health systems. And to me, there was something about, how you titled connected care, right? AHTS, this summit. And it's like, what does it mean? What does connected care means in Africa on ground? And you said something to me then that you were working, you said, but we're connecting for whom, right? And you always advocated for the patient or the population to be at the center of it all. And so just to say that, I would like to share my experience and debate a little bit around when we talk about connected care. A lot of the time in more mature markets, and I remember I also know Middle East, where I've seen it sort of the healthcare system move from heavy infrastructure investments to now being an amazing digital center where people at the patient level can navigate and share their records, and really referral systems are becoming seamless. So similarly in Africa, what is it that we need to put in place for this connected care? So is it, when we frame it, should it be about technology problem? But I actually think it should be about systems design, right? So really understanding where Africa healthcare systems are today and where are the gaps and how do we bridge it? So a lot of the time, when we talk about, okay, the reality on ground, maybe 90% of African population today, it's not the first port of contact is not a hospital, because it's a low resource setting most of the time. Infrastructure builds, takes a long time to build. Also, Africa has been, very donor sensitive in terms of a lot of the programs that were established fragmented in a vertical way. They did a lot of good, but they also did a lot of, they've brought in a lot of challenges, because we have now simply, in some of the countries that I've looked at, at the ministry level, there's something like 200 different healthcare systems, so who are we connecting the care for? If we're simply putting money to develop EHRs across hospitals, develop, infrastructure, connecting interoperability, are we really achieving our outcomes, right? Like, how about, and I still see it. I've done, trips and work in Mauritania, in rural Tanzania, and I still, even in Ethiopia today, in the middle of Addis, that looks beautiful. Most people carry, mothers carry their infants' health records in their little pockets so that it doesn't get lost, seeking for a referral. You see these women, patients, you don't have records going from one to the other, a referral pathway. The first, point of contact is a community, a pharmacist, a traditional healer for most of Africa. So it's the human, right? So how do we connect, human to digital? So beyond the patient accessing the first port of contact, where their health record tucked in so that it doesn't get lost, and my infant is sick, beyond the pharmacist, where do I get a specialist to look at him? And most of the time the paper gets lost. Recently, my mother was sick, and even my mother, more, global, traveled with international travel insurance. She would go seek from Ethiopia to Kenya, she would have to bring her records, her records around, I've done these tests, I've done those tests. So to me, the debate today is, how do we define connected? Who do we connect? Do we connect and think about the patient at the center? the community health worker who's at the point of contact, the pharmacist at the drugstore. So those are really, pragmatic things you see on ground in Africa, and thinking, where do we as partners globally put our money? Secondly, what I've seen is, amazing innovations, people coming up with, last mile ones or EHRs and so forth. But it's really being careful when we design and deploy those. And across Africa today, there's so many different pilots, right? Pilots
Yes.
because there's no umbrella to tell us where we're going. So really,
Okay.
are we almost done, Dr. Okoro? My time or?
No, we're listening.
Okay.
Just try to wrap it up.
Okay.
I know you have a lot
So
of things to say.
no, I know. So it's just to say sometimes when we put money in digitizing, it's not only, if we're digitizing fragmented systems, what are we not, what is the output? So really think of digitizing for connected care. Have that pathway efficiency drawn out from existing data and platforms to move forward. So I just want to say, especially this platform today with JP, the Africa Healthcare Summit is precisely what the perfect platform for us to start thinking how we frame it, how we frame that connected care, how we optimize outputs. Under this leadership, especially the Africa CDC, as well as the Smart Africa Connected Strategy, JP, I think that's a critical enabler. I mean, look at Rwanda today, right? So with governance and leadership, the right connected care comes forth. And I would like to really commend some countries with governance, such as Rwanda, where that has really, I went to visit the National Health Intelligence Center, JP, and I was blown because that's what I call connected. So let's share, let's continue co-creating. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maraki. That was really, really insightful. And for everyone in the audience, if you're not planning to attend AHTS, I hope that with these insights provided, knowing that we're going to be a lot of solutions, partners, impact makers, stakeholders will be there to give us answers to how we can connect, and have connected care in Africa. So if you're not planning to come, this should be your key to start making preparations to be there in Canada and later in Kigali. All right, so thank you very much, Dr. Maraki, again. And then to Ota Ahigbe, I'm very happy I'm Nigerian and I did not murder your name. So would like to hear what you have to say about what eHealth Africa is building, and how does what does the digital health infrastructure challenge in Africa actually look like from the inside? From the outside, it looks different. It's only those who are playing inside that know exactly what it is and how it translates to healthcare delivery, patient outcome, and connected care.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okoro. And I must say, Dr. Maraki, thank you for that. I safe to say that you started the fire in full blast. So I think I'll start from
I believe you're on mute, Dr. Otta.
Muted.
Apologies. Thank you very much, Dr. Okoro. And I was saying that thank you, Dr. Maraki. I think you started the fire full blast, and I appreciate that. I just want to start from where JP left us when he gave the presentation, because I think that framing is right. There are things we can do individually, and there are things we can only do together. I think everyone in this room already believes that, but I want to take that one step further, just into what happens after that, because that's usually where things get harder. Like most of us, I don't think Africa has an innovation problem. I think we have a scale and systems integration challenge. And I say that very deliberately and actually with a lot of optimism. Because if you look across the continent today, there's no shortage of ideas. There's no shortage of energy. There's no shortage of tools, talents, pilots, platforms, or ambition. That part is not the constraint. What is harder and what really determines whether anything lasts is how those things become part of systems that governments can actually run, sustain, and scale. That's where things get real. And I think many of us in this room have seen some version of that, where something works but does not sustain, where something shows promise but does not scale. Not because it wasn't good, but because it wasn't fully anchored. And I'm sure as I say that, people can already think of examples from different angles: policy, investment, implementation, research. It's a shared experience. So if I simplify it, there are a few patterns that come up again and again. And I'll keep this very practical. The first is that a lot of innovation still sits near the system, but not fully inside it. It may solve a real problem, it may even perform well in isolation. But if it's not embedded into how the system actually functions, how decisions are made, how resources flow, how accountability is structured, then continuity becomes fragile. And that is not a failure of innovation. It's usually a design gap, a partnership gap, sometimes even a timing gap. The second pattern is around data. We've made real progress across Africa in building stronger data systems, and that matters. But data is not the finish line. Action is. The real shift happens when data starts shaping decisions in real time, when visibility improves, when response cycles shorten, when decision makers can act earlier and with more confidence. And we've seen that happen, so we know it's possible. But the harder truth is that it's still not happening consistently enough across systems. And that inconsistency is what limits skill. And then the third pattern is partnership. Not because there isn't goodwill, there is. This room is full of it. But scale asks for a different kind of alignment. It asks for capital, technical capability, policy realities, and implementation experience to come together earlier and more deliberately. Not after something has already been built, but at the point where it is being designed. Because when that alignment comes too late, you can still get progress, but it's much harder to get continuity. So when I step back, I don't see an innovation deficit. I see a systems question. How do we move from promising activity to durable integration? How do we move from momentum to continuity? How do we move from pilots that work to systems that actually last? That, for me, is the real opportunity sitting underneath this conversation. And the good thing is, we're not guessing. We actually know more and more about what works. What works is designing with government systems from the beginning, not as an afterthought, not as the final handover conversation, but as part of the original logic of the solution. What works is treating infrastructure and operations as inseparable, because technology on its own does not deliver outcomes. Outcomes come when technology is matched with people, processes, accountability, and the operational discipline to keep things working over time. So delivery is not just installation, it's performance, it's continuity, it's whether something still works when the spotlight has moved on. And what also works is partnership over a long enough horizon to support significant scale. Because systems don't mature on pilot timelines. They mature when there is enough continuity in funding, enough clarity in ownership, and enough follow through in execution for trust to build and for performance to stabilize. And when those things come together, embedded design, operational discipline, and aligned partnership, scale stops feeling abstract. It starts to feel practical. It starts to feel achievable. And importantly, it starts to feel shared. And that is why a platform like this actually matters. Because what JP is building with this convening, it's not just about the convening. It's a space where the right combinations can meet, where policy, capital, technical insights, implementation experience, research, and diaspora leadership are not operating in parallel, but are actually in conversation early enough to shape outcomes. So I know that the moderator is giving me prompts, but in rounding off, I think many of us in this room are already working on different parts of what I've talked about. The opportunity is now. It's how we start connecting those parts more intentionally, earlier, more deliberately, with a shared understanding of what it takes for things to actually sustain, especially on the road to Toronto for the AHTS in Canada. And if we can start getting that right, even in small practical ways, then Africa doesn't just remain a place where innovation happens. It becomes a place where innovation is sustained, where it grows, and where it scales. And I think that's something worth building together. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our two wonderful speakers. They've set the fire, they've set the tone for even further conversations as we go ahead with the next session. Okay, now we're going to move into the heart of today's lunch, which is the round table. I don't know if you don't have a table in front of you right now. I need you to stand up and then just go sit in front of a round table in your house and just imagine you're in a conference room and the round table is about to start. Okay, and then we have our speakers here just to allow for the conversation to be dynamic and so that we can, keep more time for the question and answer, because I can see a lot of people itching to ask questions. They've dropped their questions already in the chat box. So I'll just I'll just call on the speakers and ask them to introduce themselves. So in no particular order, I'm calling my good friend James Frazier, the CEO of Maduro, to kindly introduce himself briefly. Briefly, if not, I'll come with a fire extinguisher. Introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll go on to the next person. You have the floor, Mr. James Fraser.
Hi, everybody. My name's James. This was a surprise. I would have prettied myself up a little bit more. My name's James. I'm the CEO of Maduro. Maduro is a philanthropic impact fund focused on healthcare in Africa. Our focus is on seed stage companies. We invest in really great teams that are solving big problems and that have a path to sustainability. We've made 11 investments so far in, I think 8 countries.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Can we have Titi Akinsomi, if you're in the room?
I am in the room, as virtual as it is. Maybe like James, I should also indicate if I had known, I would have prettied myself up even more. Thank you again. A great opportunity to not just be connecting with the folks on this call today, but actually to lend my voice to the celebratory yay that AHTS, the African Health Tech Summit, is coming to Toronto, Canada. When I introduce myself, I like to say I'm a Nigerian by birth, Canadian by choice. A very deliberate, considered choice. Why? Because I recognize the opportunity that is now encapsulated in the Canada-Africa strategy. I am a tech policy wonk. If you want to know more, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I live, I breathe, and I eat technology policy very deliberately. Have been working across the sector over the last 26 going on 27 years.
Okay.
Why am I connecting to this? I find significant opportunity in us being deliberate about how we'll build health tech in the same way that we are building fintech.
All
Back
right.
to you, Kelechi.
All right, thank you very much. Love the hairdo, love the haircut, just like mine. Love the vibe. Thank you for being here. And then we go over to Rajat Chaba, he's been smiling behind his glasses, itching to talk. So now you can go ahead and introduce your lovely self.
Oh, well, thank you. And I would like to believe that I look pretty. So
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I confirm.
thank you. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I lead innovations and entrepreneurship at the William Davidson Institute at the University of Michigan. We are a not-for-profit which working at the intersection of business, uh, and innovation for the last 34 years, based out of United States, but we have worked in over 80 countries. We focus at on healthcare, climate health, energy, and e-mobility in these markets, with a core approach to work closely with local organizations and partners, uh, leveraging the strong academic rigor that comes at the university, but also translating the research into action. So I'm really excited about the conversation today. I'm an Indian by birth, but a Kenyan at heart. So I'm really looking forward to the discussions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're looking forward to learning a lot from you also. And then last but not the least, as we say in my country, we have Prof. Jude Kong. Kindly introduce yourself briefly so that we can go ahead with the discussion. Thank you. Do we have Professor Jude Kong in the room?
I saw him in the room earlier on.
He went to get a fire extinguisher,
He's
maybe.
he's still here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Professor Jude Kong, please introduce yourself so that we can go into the conversation. All right. I think we don't have him here. So, I'd like to start with Mr. James Fraser. So, would you like to set the tone of this conversation, or do I go ahead and ask you what you need to, what we want from you?
Yeah, please go ahead because I didn't, yeah, not prepared. I didn't know.
Okay, so all right. So if I were to ask you, what is the single biggest structural problem with how global capital approaches African health right now? What is the biggest structural problem?
I think I would say that it's the combination of real and perceived risk, and the fact that so there's risk tolerance versus capital, like return on investment. I would say if you're trying to attract, I'll speak from attracting capital from North America. If you're going to be attracting capital from North America, you're basically in competition with every other investment an investor can make. And so you're not only trying to convince them that your money can be productive and safe, and de-risked on investments on the continent. In health tech, especially where there are not a lot of examples of exits yet, that their money is well placed in Africa when it's in competition with higher returning, shorter time frame investments in North America. So I think getting over that mindset shift, and making a really strong argument around impact investing is important to be able to close any type of additional private capital coming.
Okay. All right. Please, if you have any questions, just save it in the chat box, or when it's time for the Q&A, you can go ahead to ask your questions. So I'll be throwing this to Titi Akinsomi. How do we ensure that the governance framework enable cross-border innovation while protecting data sovereignty and trust?
Sounds very much like a full day's conference. Maybe
No.
that's an immediate plug. How do we ensure um, that there's cross-border flow with data sovereignty? I always say that there's nothing new under the sun. And one of the pathways that's been explored very vehemently or very particularly is around building models called, when I say models, building regulatory models around data embassies. So virtual, taking the concept of embassies as we know it in the real world and transferring it to the world of the cloud, meaning the ability to be able to have your data in a cloud somewhere else, but it receives the same level of protection as, your physical embassy would as a country. And that is particularly framed to address the concerns around sovereignty, around access, around privacy. Now, when we talk health tech, there is the notion that there is extra appropriately stringent rules around how people's health information is kept. There are pathways that are in place that we can build on. Again, nothing new under the sun. So when I think of the AFCTA, the African Free Trade Agreement, the questions that come to mind immediately is what are the data pathways, what are the structures that have been inbuilt into that ensures that anything, for example, Eden AI is building out of South Africa, currently implemented in parts of Ethiopia, makes it easy to be able to adopt some of that technology in other spaces. Third is this, our ability to be able to not just continue to replicate unnecessarily rules and regulations. When I teach on governance, on technology governance and policy, I always share a slide around how policy and regulatory spaces will always seem to lag behind innovation. And this is why we should not be building regulations to suit particular technologies, policies and implementation, yes, but we should be building regulatory spaces in a way that continues to enable innovation while ensuring at the core of it that end users are in place. And allow me to put this plug in. In South Africa right now, the government has just gazetted, released a national draft AI strategy. So one of the things I do very deliberately is I convene private conversations that looks into these draft policies and helps to shape it for a particular sector. So I will be hosting one of those on the 30th of April.
Okay.
I will put it in the chat, but that's an opportunity of how we can ensure, and I know Kalechi want me to get off the call, but it's important to be able to demonstrate and share opportunities where innovators, investors, and policymakers can have conversations around the regulatory direction in a way that enables all the sectors. So I'll put that in the chat. Anyone who has a question can reach out to me. All right, back to you, Kalechi.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for handing me back my mic. And this is to Dr. Rajat Shabar. I'll ask if you were designing the ideal Canada Africa Health Innovation Partnership, what would it look like? Who would you be at the table? And what would each side bring? And what will success look like in 5 years? That's a lot of questions in one, but I mean, a sentence can just tie them all together so that you don't go to Rome with it, okay?
It's a very loaded question,
Yes,
right?
but just tie them together and
And
as concise as possible.
so I think if we are looking at a successful Canada-Africa partnership, one thing that we need to make sure fundamentally is to move away from short-term grants and pilots and focus on building trust. I think the challenge or the longevity of the relationship should fundamentally be based on building a strong trust within the community on both sides and not just focusing on building MOUs. I think we have to move beyond that. The second thing, we need to look at Africa as a set of 54 countries, not only as one continent. Every country is unique, every country is different. Africa is not a single market. As long as we are trying to look at it from that perspective, you know, Kenya is a great example. Raised over $1 billion in 2025, 52% growth, you know. But there are other geographies as well that we need to move beyond the Silicon Savannah. Just because we often tend to make decisions based on ease of market entry, because Francophone Africa may not always be accessible. But there are challenges, there are needs, so you need to build equity into it as well as a partnership. The third, I would say, is the need to have strategic de-risking mechanisms. James spoke to perceived and actual risk as well, and I think that's such a fundamental core issue to this problem. We need more of blended finance mechanisms, more of patient capital coming into it. 18 months project cycles is not going to help into this. We need to have longer term commitments, 5 to 7 years, to do that. So for me, if I have to say what would success look like, I think the success would be if all of us in this room can commit to building longer term solutions and systems level designs, and say that in the next 5 years, I would like to co create along with local partners and local community at least one blended finance solution or one regulatory policy that would enable me to engage the stakeholders effectively and drive success. I think that is success.
That is
So,
success. Yes, I totally agree. That is success.
and I think AHTS is a great platform to speak to some of those things. We ourselves are looking into some of those models. How can you engage? How can you do research more locally? We need more local evidence, for example, for some of these things. We often talk about global evidence and insights, but that will not work. So you need to be
Yeah.
proximity, I think, is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say we build all our efforts to be more proximal to the communities and work in service of our
Exactly.
communities. So that's success. I hope that
All
answers
right.
the question.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. That was really, really, really insightful. And then I'll just piggyback off some points you've mentioned to ask James Fraser his next question. And so, what would make African health innovation pipelines be more investment ready for global capital without us losing the local relevance?
That's a really good question. I think it has to do with this concept of like the missing middle, or the valley of death, as some people call it, where you have a number of incubators and accelerators kind of at the lowest level where they're trying to organize companies to actually become successful, to understand what the market they're operating in is, what is their business model, what is the regulatory pathway for their company, etc. And so there's a lot of really, really good work being done at that level. Africa Health Tech Hub, for example, is a really good example. But then what happens is companies launch, they get ready, they get some early traction, but then there's no capital left in the progression towards scale. And I think that is something that really needs to be in place. It's not really an answer to your question, because you're asking what is there to help them get ready. And my answer is, well, there's not enough capital system for them to access once they are ready. So I think there's a lot of good work already happening. It's just that we really need to work on attracting more capital.
More capital.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, no problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll just take the mic away from our speakers right now, and I would like to throw it open to some wonderful people we have already in the room who were not recognized earlier. Dr. Stella Kivila, are you there? You can just say hi. Thank you for being champions in the health tech space, in the health development space. Evelyn Batamuliza, I hope I got your name right.
Yes,
If
you
you're
did.
there, yes, can you say hi and we're welcome?
Hello.
You're welcome. And then we have Corinne Buchanam. I hope I got your name right. Corinne
Buchanan
Buchanam.
Russell.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Okay, you're there. Okay, and we have Meshrak Lisano. Meshrak Lisano. If you are there, kindly say something or just give us an emoji, because we're coming back to you in a minute.
Hello.
Yes, she's here. You're welcome. And then we have Robea. Thank you for being here, for joining this insightful conversation. And then would like to get insights from what we've already discussed. Dr. Stella Kivila, if you can go next. Do you have anything to say about the conversation we're having?
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelechi. Really, really excited to be here today. I'm Kenyan based in Uganda, and my experience has always been at the heart of technology. My background is pharmacy, and I love the conversations that have happened because I've experienced them firsthand. I've been an innovator, and many times I have seen innovators not being brought to the table in regards to policy conversations. And so, as rightfully put, that's one of the biggest pain points in terms of scaling, because one of the biggest challenges is that the innovators are never brought into a room. And so you don't have like an ecosystem approach in terms of building regulatory frameworks or even the strategies. Right now, there's a lot of conversations happening on AI strategies across different nations. So that is something that I believe that this platform can be able to solve. And then the other interesting conversations we should have is having cross-border policy frameworks, because in my experience as an ecosystem builder, that is also another layer of my work. I have seen that in terms of building technologies that are cross-border, the biggest challenge in terms of scaling becomes that there's no harmonization of those regulatory policies. So there's a lot, but I'm really excited about the speakers that have been able to tease out some of these conversations that are very pertinent in regards to making sure that Africa is at the forefront in regards to health innovation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. That was insightful also. Evelyn Batamaliza, I hope I got your name right. Your name sounds so wonderful. Swahili, I think. So yes, let's hear your thoughts.
Thank you very well. Thank you so much, our moderator. So, Evelyn Batamriza, I am the founder and the chair of the board of the Bridging Africa, which is a social enterprise that pushes for disability inclusion when it comes to technology innovations and all. And pleasure that I got to meet, like what Maraki said, when I met JP for the first time. And we were at the AI Summit in Kigali, and we both like spoke about what we were doing, and it's like, right to go. Let's just build up on this relationship and fast forward. That's how I got involved in this AHTS. So pleasure. Anyway, quick one. So I can relate to most of the points that have been raised here, like from what Dr. Maraki said, to Ota, to James Fraser, to Titi, to everybody. I think our challenge now is how do we harness this conversation that when we meet in Toronto in June, that we're able to unpack every one of these perspectives that were given and try to run from what Canada has done so far, whether we talk about access to financing, whether we talk about getting the right framework in terms of how the government embeds some of these structures in place, like the system issue that Ota raised, which was really important. How do we, what Titi said, and more also really grounding it to what Larger ended up saying, which is how do we embed this into local realities, and how can we make sure that everything is tested from the context base, not just to copy and paste from elsewhere. So I am quite excited from what I'm hearing this morning and how really the conversation in Toronto is going to be. And count on me in terms of raising flags when it comes to the inclusion aspect. You will hear me a lot talking about disability inclusion, who is left behind, why. So I look forward to being this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I remember you saying in a nutshell, but this was not a nutshell at all. It was like a whole basket of nuts. But yeah, thank you for your contribution. And while all of this was going on, Professor Jude Kong from University of Toronto waltzed in, and I'd like us to just welcome him again, and a round of applause for him being here. He's supposed to be one of our speakers. So Professor Jude Kong, thank you for being here, and you can go ahead to make your contribution. Do we have Professor Jude Kong? Okay. If he isn't here, I can see James Fraser's hands up. Do you still have your hands up, James Fraser?
I do. If I may, just to actually
Okay.
answer the question you asked me earlier, um, I think that one thing I would like to just bring up for everyone on the call that Madiro is working on with, well, it's Leah from our team is working with Rajat from the WDI, and Shortlist, which is a Africa-based company that is it's essentially a search firm. We're developing a platform called Atlas, and this is going back to the question of what can be done to actually support Africa health tech companies get to scale. Well, Atlas is a platform to provide technical assistance across the continent as far as we can, where we basically have a pool of capital in the middle, and then we have a large cohort of technical assistance providers on one side. Shortlist is providing fractional leaders on the other side, and then capital allocators. So whether that's a family office to Vilbro to Johnson and Johnson Ventures to any type of capital allocator would be able to sponsor their company, a company in their portfolio to get access to technical assistance or fractional leadership. And the idea is to try to create as much frictionless access to technical assistance, create competition among technical assistance providers so a company can choose which technical
Okay.
provider to go, and then basically have great outcomes both for the company as well as for the population that they're serving. So I think that's an example of one initiative that could really help get companies to scale.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. If we still have Corinne Buchanan in the room, could you please give your contribution? Corinne Buchanan.
Good day. Good day, everyone. I wasn't really expecting to be on the call, but I'm glad to be here and to share in the perspectives that everyone has raised so far. I think the one thing that I
They look
want
lovely.
to really reflect back on is the importance of the shared learning both ways. There's a lot that we can learn. I am from Canada, and a lot of that we can learn from the African continent and all the various countries that are there. In terms of their sharing of technology as well as lean modeling that they have been very strong at. And then expanding on that to say that Canada represents such a great opportunity from a diversity perspective to implement and then to share back as well. We have spent a lot of time very insularly in Canada, and I think that the explosion that we're seeing of members of the African diaspora here really is pushing us as a country to be more inclusive in the way in which we operate, but also to lean into the learnings that we could take from other countries. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity, as I said, for both shared learning from both sides of the equation. And I'm really excited about that and how we can further that dialogue and conversation and to move the dial forward. So thank you. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Thank you very much. For someone who wasn't ready to be on the video call, you look actually very, enticing and you just look good. Thank you for being here and brightening this place with some of your smile. Thank you. All right. So I hope we still have Bob Bayer. If you're there, please kindly briefly give us your contribution to the conversation so that we can move ahead to the next to the Q&A. Yes. Rob Bayer. I hope our speakers are still there because we have some questions for you from the audience. So please hang on. Let's hear from Bob Bayer if he's still here. Okay, if he's not here, I'd like to recognize somebody else who's been here from the beginning. He's one of the partners for AHTS in Canada. We have Dr. Kunle Kakanfo from Nigeria, the founder of AFID. Please, Dr. Kunle, kindly let's see your face, and then you can just contribute to the conversation so we can go ahead to the question and answer session.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Kelechi. A lot has been said already, so I'll just let people soak it in. The only thing I have to say is everyone just needs to be in Canada, in Toronto. That's all I have to say. And thank you for all the wonderful speeches that have been made today. Over.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kunle Kakanfo. And as you've heard, in case you were not planning to come to Canada, Dr. Kunle is taking care of your flights, your accommodation, your food, and everything. So just come to Canada and be a part of AHTS. Don't quote me, please. Okay. All right. We also have Phaedra Henley. Phaedra Henley, please, if you are here, kindly let's hear from you. Drop your contribution so that we can go over to the question and answer. It's really unfortunate we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time, but we have a lot of people who have many insightful things to say and great contributions towards the conference. But I believe that at the end of today, we'll be anticipating more from everyone here when we get to Canada. So see you all in Canada. All right. So Phaedra Henley, if you're still there, please, can we hear you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Phaedra Henley. I'm with the University of Global Health Equity in Rwanda, faculty member in One Health, and recently in a new role as Senior Advisor for Global Partnerships with a focus in Canada. So I'm a Canadian, just moved back to Canada after 10 years living in Rwanda and looking forward to participating in this discussion. I have a personal interest and in the One Health approach, and I'm excited that that's a theme of the conference as well, as that's a growing space and it can be used to advance health tech. And Africa is a leader in One Health. So great to be on the call, great to contribute to the meeting. And thanks so much. Back to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you're welcome. See you in Canada. And then also would like to hear from Edward Gakuru. If you're there, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to hear what you have to say. Edward Gakuru, please.
Yes, hi. Just putting up again my headset so I could be able to speak loud and clear. Yeah, good to meet all of you virtually and glad to hear what is cooking and what is coming. I'm excited. I have been one of the people attending HTC since I think it started back in Kigali. So I am Edward Gakuru from Next Leaf Analytics. I am based in Canada. Excited to see how much we really show what we support in countries around the globe on healthcare, on real-time data, on immunization, vaccine, and the cold chain system at large. So this conference, I have a huge expectation, and I can't wait to see the people who are coming up there. And my contribution is that whatever thing innovators are doing, are working on, it has all to be in line with the government ownership of the system and the technology. So which means whatever thing we are trying to work around, whatever thing we are trying to coming up with, it has to be centered to the end users and the total ownership of the government and the system in the government in all countries so that the data remains and owned by the countries. Thank you so much. I look forward to see you all in person, and I'm excited for HTC Canada.
All right. Thank you very much. Edward looks and sounds so excited to be here. I bet in Canada he'll be jumping when you see him. He'll be jumping, and I mean, I love the excitement in the room, and I assure you, the excitement in the actual room in Canada will be more electrifying like this. I don't want to remind you all about JP's dance steps, a lot of our partners. I've seen James Fraser dance before. I've seen a lot of our partners dance during the closing ceremony. So even if you're not going to come for the conversations, you don't want to miss the closing ceremony, okay? At any AHTS conference. So now the speakers, can we take one or two questions from the floor? Can we take one or two questions from the floor? If you have any question, please raise your hand. If not, I'm going to read one from the comments. So Miriam Magovola says, I'm worried we'll keep building isolated systems that don't talk to each other unless leaders make binding policy changes. So please, don't let this summit be just talk. Make integration mandatory. Oh, that wasn't even a question, that's a contribution. So you will not agree with me that this is a very important one. The summit shouldn't be about just talk, talk, talk. We should be ready to walk the talk and make integration mandatory. Okay. So someone else says, okay, Damien has his hands up. Damien, you can go ahead. Damien Shumbusha. Sorry about the name, mothering. Damien Shumbusha.
Yes, Damien Shumbusha.
Damien Shubusha. Oh, sorry about that. Damien Shubusha.
Yes, my name is Damien Shumbusha. I'm Managing Director of Zero Hunger Company in Rwanda, and also Senior Consultant at the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, based in Kigali. So I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thank you for the presentations. My comment on this is that I have not had the chance to go through the tentative schedule, tentative program of the upcoming summit in Toronto, and I want to find out if there are some sessions on agri-food systems as it used to be in the previous years. Since, as I earlier said, I presume we need actually an integrated approach for this, for the health systems. Over to you.
Okay, so who's going to answer that question? He's asking if they will include nutrition and agri-food systems as a whole. Who wants to answer among the speakers?
I certainly feel like Jean-Paul should be able to speak to it. But I'm putting JP on the spot here. But I
Yes.
would say, Damien, that at the very least, and I will hand it back now to Jean-Pierre, is that as it connects to health tech, for sure, it should be a subset. But I am also a firm believer in pushing it right back, that how can you help make sure that that narrative is adequately captured, and to the other comment, ensure that it's connected to actual delivery. Jean-Phil.
All right. So thanks, Dr. Damien, for the question. For this edition, just to be straightforward to the answer, food and food security is not the primary focus. But however, if you go to the website, and I'd like to invite everyone here on the call to go to the website, is AHTS.ca. So that's a website of the event where you can be able to find additional information. You will see that among the thematic areas, there are 6 thematic areas on the website, and one is about wellness. So chronic condition, mental health, and aging. We're still breaking down in terms of sessions, but we know that food is a great determinant of health. You cannot be healthy if you don't eat well. So same as other determinants like education, living, housing, those are determinants of health. So we are going to be talking about determinants of health. And in Kigali, if you were there last year, actually Dr. Kunle Kakanfo, who spoke earlier, ran an entire session on food security, nutrition. In fact, there is, now that I am looking at it, there is a track on One Health, climate resilience, nutrition, and food security. My bad, actually. I should have memorized this. So the food is there. So addressing climate sensitive health risk, zoonotic threats, nutrition and food security, and preparedness through One Health approaches that connect human, animal, and environmental systems. So it's an occasion actually to say, if there are anyone else on this call or somebody who knows people who are invested in food security efforts, please bring them. I see Fedra and One Health. I know we have an upcoming conversation about this, for institutions, organizations that are willing to partner. So track 3, and resilience. It has nutrition and food security. So Dr. Damien, bring your center or your university, Agra, to this conversation. And I think it's also a great segue looking at time. I'm not hijacking again, but I think that we have two people on this call. There is Diana Njuguna, who's in Nairobi, and Dismas, who's in Toronto. They are really behind the force behind the organization. I think they could also provide some practical tips on how do you get to join us here in Toronto? What are some of the details that people need to take away from this call as we start preparing for the D-Day in about 60 days from now?
Yeah, so JP hijacked the mic because I was about to read out a question here that's asking, how do we participate? That's the question everybody's asking. How do we participate? So over to you, Diana and Dismas. Is that his name?
Yes.
Yes, so over to you, Diana and Dismas. They sound like twins. Diana and Dismas, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Okoro. Maybe I'll go first and then I'll hand it over to Dismas to close this. For me, I would say is thank you so much. It's been quite a humbling experience interacting with the partners, interacting with our speakers, and also the goodwill that we have received for the past couple of months. I remember when we talked about this immediately after AHTS Kigali last year, I thought it was crazy. But looking at how we're gaining traction, even the support on this call is, we're super grateful. For me and the team is we are working day and night across different time zones to make sure that we deliver the first edition in Toronto. My call to everyone on the call is there's still someone out there that does not know that this is happening. So let's send the website link, let's send our contacts, let's invite them, and let's make this a very good first edition. I'll hand over to Dismas to close. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. For our distinguished guests, our partners, our participants, and also to the team that prepared this and made this convening possible today, I want to say thank you very much for what you're doing. Secondly, today's conversation has really showed us that it's very clear the future of health is not built in silos. It's built through partnerships. From every speaker, every comment we've seen, it's all about partnerships. But then beyond partnerships, what action are we taking? That has been the biggest question in the room. Let's act on the partnership side. AHTS stands as a bridge connecting Africa's dynamic innovation ecosystem with Canada's global leadership in AI, research, and policy. And importantly, this is not just a summit, it's a platform for execution. What begins here must translate into real partnerships, real investments, and real impact across different regions.
Okay.
So ours is just that as we look ahead towards the 9th and 10th June in Toronto, we invite all of you to be part of this journey as partners, as collaborators, and also as champions of health and tech. We are calling on partners to join us in shaping this platform, and we also invite delegates from across government, the industry, the chambers, the academia, and even the innovation ecosystem to be part of this global convening. So when you join us in Toronto, which is the most multicultural city in the world, which you'll be able to see it and feel it the moment you land here, we want you to bring your ideas, we want you to bring your solutions, and we want you to bring your ambition, because the opportunity ahead of us is not just talk, but to build. See you all in Toronto in our 9th and 10th of June, and visit our website, visit our social media pages, right from LinkedIn, Instagram, and let's connect together. Thank you very much. Welcome as you're building the bridges that move nations and improve lives. May God bless you all.
Amen. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So when you get to Canada, or when I get to Canada, I'll be expecting to see the twins, Dismas and Diana, in matching outfits, telling us welcome to Toronto. Okay. All right. So our speakers are still here. And I would like to ask them one question each, the same question to everybody actually, so that we can wrap up this session. To Rabat, to James, to Titi, what is, okay, for example, you're in a room with health ministers, investors, innovators, and diaspora leaders from across Africa and Canada. And what is that one thing that you want this room to commit to doing differently starting today? One thing that you want this room to commit to doing differently starting today so that we can get better results than we have been getting before. James, you can go because I saw you first.
So this room that we're in now, or the room at the conference? Which room am I in? The room of all of the participants of the conference, or the room of this group today? Hello?
I didn't get that. What did you say?
My question is, which room am I talking to? Like the room
Okay.
that I'm talking to today, or the room at the conference when there's 1,000
No,
people?
if you're in the room with health ministers, innovators, people, the
Yeah, okay, so the
stakeholders, the
conference room.
players.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I have a very specific point that I'm making over and over and over, and it's really focused not on health ministers and not, it's really focused on foundations and donor advised funds and people who have locked away trillions of dollars, $1 trillion into these private foundations, and that using that money in a way to catalyze and unlock additional investment for Africa could be one of the most exciting and productive and inspiring things that they can do. So I think from my perspective, all of the arguments that we make at AHTS, for me, is to unlock that money.
All right. Thank you, James. How about you, Rajat? What do you have to say? What would you like us to do? What would you like us to do differently?
Yeah, if I'm in that room, I think I would like everybody to commit to moving beyond just project or programmatic investments and looking at ecosystem investments. Thinking about structures that we can replicate, and that builds on James' point as well, that you need to have the right systems to make the capital flow the right way and for the right purpose. So I think if we have all the governments, I think that is the kind of commitment I would like to build, to have multi-year commitments for specific markets and innovations coming together.
All right. Thank you very much, Rajat. Do we still have Titi in the room? If you still have Titi in the room, we would like to hear her contribution. Okay, I think she's no longer here. So thank you to all our speakers for your contributions, for your insights, and for setting the tone for the conversation ahead of the Fiscal Summit in Toronto. Before we go on, I'd like to bring up, first of all, a round of applause to all the speakers, all the contributors, and everybody who has stayed here up till now. And you can just unmute your mic to say thank you in your language. So I'd like to hear different languages: French, Swahili, German, English, Yoruba. Please say thank you in your languages.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Dhanyavad.
All right, merci. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So before we go on, we'd like to just have a little, entertainment. We don't know what to expect, but we have a performer here who wants to do a little something for us. So if you want to stand up, get your dancing shoes on, take off your coat, or just want to get in the mood, we have Dozier Mbata in the house, and he wants to do something for us. So a round of applause for him, who's from Nigeria. A round of applause for Dozier from Nigeria. Dozier Mbata, you have the stage. You are muted, Dozier. Dozier, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome, Dozier.
Okay. Greetings to everybody on the live The lecture was really awesome. Shout out to Mr. James Fraser, Dala Africa. In fact, instead of me to just talk, let me just do it with the music. You understand? So let us start with what we are here for. This is Dala Dynamic Africa. Connected care, innovations, and partnership for resilient health system. You guys have seen everything, right? So that's what they're here for. So first of all, I'm gonna have to greet everybody on the box. Are you ready? First of all, I greet. First of all, I start to the greet. Dala Africa, now we can meet. When I start to stay, I can see my brother, there is Jane. Philbert already, he was in. When I see the James, Leah already, she was there. The camera already, she was clear. And I see Kelechi Okoro upon the box. Everybody know that Rajat is here with us because this is connected here. Because everybody here, that's what I see here. Edward, so you said you are dancing. I can see you there. There is Dr. Kule Kakamfo, because now something that I now know. There is Amos, Angelina already, Arinze. There is Ben, Benjamin already. This is what I say. Kristen Lee, Claire, and Dala again. There is Damien already. So they came here to win. Dominic in Toronto, everybody's gonna come because this is health system. Everybody can't form. Evelyn, Ezekiel, Edine was here with us. Ferran, Desekan, Florence, of course, Amos, and even you see Kerubu, she joined. King Kong already. The people know that Edwards, they got it again. Ben already, as he says, fire again. Edward does, they move, they help, the system, they hey. But connected here on the drone, Toronto, everybody they are flying again because everybody's better here because they say AI governance already because this words will stay. Kelechi Okoro, they tell everybody, say this time connected care is here to stay. It's really here to stay. Some people they put the thumbs up. That's so they fly. This is for the health talk. I cannot lie. Even Ben, you can see him. I seen the smile. From the way you see Leah, she testified. From the way you see Rajat, of course, there is Chaba, because this type of meeting is better. There's James already, you know, there's Fraser, because this type of words, it go clearer. James even got glasses on and dancing to this song. Some people say they really came along. Toronto, they are coming there. Dr. Judy with TT, Kelechi Okoro, no forming here. Even Rajat, he now talk something right. I now walk because this is an entertainment things that we do here. Ben, I even want to do
a round of applause, a round of
you see
applause.
Amos.
A round of applause.
Yes, a round of applause.
A round of applause.
Hey, I am flying. Toronto, am I flying again? Or will I have to talk to Mr. Jean? He puts the thing, he came on. Flores already, I see your name on this song. Even Stella,
Thank you
Susan,
very much.
James,
Just thank you,
Fraser,
thank you,
Amos,
thank you,
Stella,
thank you,
and
thank
Ryan.
you, thank you. All right.
Thank you
Thank you
guys so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dozier, for that wonderful rendition. I heard some people saying they can't hear their name, they can't hear their name, they can't hear their name. But sorry, come to Canada and you will hear your name. Okay. So we're happy this has ended this way. Thanks to everybody who stayed till the end. I hope our speakers enjoyed themselves. I hope everybody in the audience enjoyed themselves. Mr. JP is smiling too much. So Edward is smiling too much too, but I'll just call on JP to give us his final words and we'll see if we're going to leave here today.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Dozier because he brought a very important aspect of AHTS. You were there, Kelechi and others who were in Kigali. The most memorable times are not those spent listening or talking on the podium or listening from the floor. Actually, they were the times that we spent on the dance floor that evening and the time that we spent connecting, having coffee, having tea, chatting among friends, growing our networks, just having fun. And it's an important core part of AHTS. And I really want to say thank you to Dozier Mbata that I have the pleasure of meeting today. We didn't know each other. I love the spontaneity. When we say Africa, the spirit of the young people, this is exactly what we mean. So we really want to see a bit more of that. And Dozier, hope you can make it to Canada and we can have that entertainment. Part of what we're going to do, evening of day one, is an entertainment and Africa cultural mix.
So we hope to have more of this. This was just a teaser, and thank you so much. I want to repeat what was said by others. I just invite everybody to log on that website, just click register, get registered, go through the process, and see you in Toronto on June 9th to 10th. Thank you so much, partners, speakers,
All right.
stakeholders. Looking forward to creating something memorable, amazing, and impactful in June, and then in September in Kigali.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our speakers, participants. This is just the beginning. I assure you that Canada is going to be blissful. Okay, follow our social media handles, use the hashtag, tell us you're coming, use the hashtag AHTS Canada, AHTS Connected Care. Just connect with everybody who's coming so that you can even have friends and prospective business partners or collaboration even before you get to Canada. So I'll be the last one to leave. So as you leave, say bye-bye in your language. Please don't leave without saying bye-bye in your language. Goodbye in your language. In my language is Kodi. So let's hear others.
Namukat.
Okay,
Kwaheri.
Namukat.
Kwaheri.
What did you say, Ben?
Ciao.
Melkam.
Kwaheri.
Melkam. Okay. Someone said
Moravejo.
ciao.
Au revoir.
Okay.
Moravejo.
Morajejo. I have so many languages to learn. Edward, can you go next? Dismas, what's your language? Goodbye in your language.
I said Saisere or Sere.
Saisere. Okay, Saisere. Bye. Kwaheri, bye. Dr. Judy is just laughing. Dr. Judy, what's bye in your language? Okay. I'll be the last to go off, so until everybody says what they need to say.
It's the same as Dismas, Saisere.
Okay, Saisere, bye. Okay, Kura Betwe Ayele, what's your language? What's bye in your language?
My language is Amharic. Melkam and ciao.
Melkam ciao. Okay. Arinze Malizu, what's goodbye in your language? Bye. Odabo. I'm going to be the last to leave, so until everybody leaves, I'm here saying bye-bye. Au revoir. See you in Canada. Make sure you use the hashtags, share your experience, share your expectations. Find out about the speakers before you get here. Find out about the partners, the organization, so that you know how to engage. And bye. I won't leave. I'm the host, so I won't leave until everybody leaves. So I'm waiting. All right. Am I still? If this is still here, he can keep singing until everybody leaves. Since nobody wants to leave, I can't leave. I can't leave my guests in the room while they're still, seated and enjoying themselves.
Not tell me that everybody was trying to dance now.